The lesson that we're in today is 5.3 or 5.2. I'm on page 361. The name of this section is called Addition and Subtraction with Decimals. And not too difficult at all to do. You shouldn't have any problem with this section. The main consideration as you're doing this is keeping your decimals lined up. So why don't we start with some example problems. On page 362, middle of the page, example 2 is where we'll start. And it says subtract 39.812 minus 14.236. So 39.812, and we're going to subtract 14.236. Alright, the most important thing to do when you are subtracting subtracting decimals is keeping this decimal lined up. It has to be right below the other. It doesn't matter how many numbers are to the right of it, how many numbers to the left of it. The decimals have to be lined up. In fact, you bring the decimal lined up here and it continues on in your answer, so that your answer has the decimal lined up as well. Then you just do basic subtraction like you've done before. 2 or 6 from 2 can't do it, so we borrow a 1. So that ends up being 12 minus 6. And then 0 minus 3 can't be done, so we borrow another. That's 10 minus 3 is 7. And that ends up being 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 minus 2, or 3 minus 1 is 2. So you get 25.576. You're going to have to excuse me. It is really early in the morning today. So, dry erase markers are not working for me very well. Get something real wet and try that. Let's try another one here. Example 4. Let's keep with the subtraction here for just a minute. We have 5.9 and I'm subtracting 3.0814. Notice the number on the bottom is smaller because the whole number is smaller, but our decimals continue further. So when that's the case, all you have to do is add zeros and it becomes the same distance or the same decimal position to the right of the decimal. So 10 hundreds, thousands, 10 thousands, 10 hundreds, thousands, 10 thousands. We're in the same position. Now we subtract. So it's basically like subtracting 814 from 9,000. So you do your 10 from 4, 9 from 1, 9 from 8, and this is 8 minus 0, then 5 minus 3 is 2. So we end up with 2.8186. So the key thing when subtracting decimals is to keep those decimals in line. Alright, so my purple is erasing, my green isn't. Of course my green's right there in the middle. Alright, let's try another one. Let's do an addition one. Let's take 8 and add 0.002 and then add 3.1 and then 0.04. This is example number 3 on page 362, and we're adding. Now I've got stuff all over the place, so I just need to make everything consistently the same. So we're going to put a decimal here, add a bunch of zeros till we get all the way over. I'm missing a couple zeros here, missing one here, there. So now I've got everything lined up and I can just add. So 2, 4, 1, 11, and I'm done. So not too much to the addition. You're just carrying rather than borrowing to make that to make that work for you. Okay, but we come up with one like example. Well, let's look at example 6. It's saying take 2.89 and it says add a negative 5.93. So if you remember from I guess it was chapter 2, if the signs are the same, you add the two numbers and put the sign on it. If the signs are different, you take the difference between the two numbers and put the sign of the largest number on it. So one of the things you'll notice when you're subtracting, you're always going to take the absolute value of the largest number and subtract the absolute value of the smallest one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 5.93 and we're going to subtract 2.89. That's always the rule. The largest number has to go on top. So you're taking the difference between the two, and the way you find the difference is you take the largest number minus the smallest number. So we'll worry about the signs in a minute. Let's just go ahead and subtract 5.93 or 5.93 minus 2.89, and we get 3.04 if you do the subtraction. Now we have to figure out, is it a positive or negative? Well, like I said before, change it to addition. Sign of the largest number goes on the answer. And you're done. Alright, so let's go to example number 7. Negative 8 minus 1.37. Now, I'm going to change it to an addition problem. Plus negative 1.37, and according to the rule, if the signs are the same, you add the two numbers together and put the sign on the answer. So 8 plus 1.37 is 9.37, and we put the sign on the answer, and we're good to go. So not much to those. You just remember your rules from chapter 2, or at least have your notes available so you can go back and look at chapter 2. That's going to help you a lot. Alright, so let's try example 5. It says subtract 3.09 from the sum of 9 and 5.42. So it says the sum. So we're going to add 9 plus 5.472. And it says subtract 3.09 from that. So in order to do that, we're going to have to first of all find the sum of what we have in the parentheses. In fact, this should be 5 point. I forgot the decimal there. So we're going to add these first, 14.472, and then we're going to subtract 3.09 from that. Notice I put a 0 on the end here to keep it in line here with my 2. So 2 minus 0. 17 minus 9 is 8. And this is going to drop to a 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. And 1 minus 0 is 1, giving us 11.382. Okay. Well, that is it for problem set 5.2. So the next video we'll go ahead and do some problems.